everyone, welcome to the video. I decided to talk about critiquing art and how to deal with criticism with your art, mainly because I did this drawing about 5 days ago, I think. It got quite an interesting response on Instagram. I think as of now it has over 1,000 comments. So yeah, there are a lot of people commenting on it. Some of them are good, a lot of them are bad. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting just to really talk about, well, how you could deal with negative comments on your art. And I think it applies to everything in life in general, how you take things. So, I mean, this is just how I deal with it personally. But yeah, feel free to listen, don't listen, but yeah. I think the main thing is, especially with social media, if you post just your own general art, normally you'll get a pretty good response. You know, you'll have people saying, oh, it's good, it's great, or, you know, most people won't say anything negative. But I find that when you post anything that involves improvement, or you're showing improvement, or you're saying you've improved, it seems to trigger quite a negative response from people. I'm not saying everyone, but you will get a lot of negativity. Yeah, I'd say this is probably more to do with when you're showing your progression, how you can deal with the attention you're probably going to get from it. I think one of the main things to consider is that you need to understand that not everyone who comments on your work is an artist. And that's not to say that people who aren't artists cannot, you know, understand art or appreciate it or, you know, see the issues with your art. I mean, everyone's qualified to look at something and have a feeling about it. But if this is in relation to your improvement, some people don't actually understand because they can't visualize what they're seeing in front of them. So what they see maybe is just a personal preference. They just personally prefer an older style that you had. And that's okay, that's perfectly fine. I mean, art is completely subjective. I mean, you can't force people to like your style of art or the way it was before, the way it is now. Just like in real life, you can't force people to like you. That's just not the way things are. But it's something you just have to understand yourself, that if someone says, oh, look, I way preferred your old style compared to your new style, well, fair enough, whatever. They may not visualize, they can't see your technical growth, but you see it. And obviously you know it's true because you've gone through the art journey yourself. So I think it's just something that you kind of have to take with, you know, a pinch of salt and just say, well, okay, you prefer my old style, but there's a reason I left that style behind, you know? So it's really something, it's easy for me to say, oh, don't get upset about it, or don't worry about it, don't worry about what these people think, but that's pretty basic. Like it's one of the main things. People have preferences of style, so that's no one's fault. So don't get upset over something that trivial, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people will also say that that you're not improving, which can be quite harsh. And some will go even further than that and say, you're not improving, change your style, go back to your old style, which is wrong. You know, people shouldn't say that to you. Style change is progressive. It's a progression. It's how you are moving through your art journey. I mean, if you stayed with your own style for years and years and it never changed, not even in the slightest, then somehow it would become stagnant, right? I mean, if you haven't changed anything in terms of maybe your techniques and how your art looks, or, you know, I guess even your, like, if you're drawing people, your anatomy, if it looks the exact same and maybe you've had issues but you're not fixing them, then then you aren't actually progressing. So if you stuck to your old style the entire time of your art career, then it just doesn't really make sense, does it? Now, I'm not saying, your style's supposed to drastically change, from one point to another over a span of a number of years. I don't mean that, but there's always going to be subtle changes in your style because you're learning, you're constantly learning. Every new picture that you draw, you are learning something new, even if it doesn't seem like it, even with sketches. Again, people are saying things like, yeah, this isn't an improvement, it's just a change in style. Yes, it's probably a change in style, but you have improved to be able to change that style. There's that too to consider. I think one of the main things is, and this is kind of, I don't know, it's quite difficult to try and put this across, but you do need to have a really thick skin to post your art online, because I guess art is it's very personal. It's a personal thing when you draw. It's kind of like you're putting a part of your soul out there for everyone to see. So when someone doesn't like it or criticizes it, it can be very difficult to deal with. Because, like I said, it doesn't suit their tastes or they just don't like it. But yeah, you have to be able to recognize when people are deliberately going out of their way to not be nice, or if they're trying to be genuine but maybe it's not coming across that way. You need to be able to discern the difference between them. Usually I think respectful people, or people who genuinely do like your art, they won't say anything at all, like in a negative sense. But I think it's just important that you have to learn to ignore the people that seem to be deliberately hating on your work. So you have to recognize it for what it is. Another kind of sad thing, and I don't want to talk too much about negativity of other people, but I mean it's a real thing. So, and I'm talking about this, so may as well say it. Aggression and jealousy is quite common, and this doesn't just apply to art. This just applies to everything in life, but especially now on social media, where it's easy for people to say what they want and be as aggressive and not very nice as they want. It's a common thing. It's a very common thing now. And personally for me, I just ignore it, to be honest. It was difficult to ignore earlier on when I first started putting my art out there on the internet. Like, it's very easy to take offense to people telling you that you're not good enough, or they don't like your work. I mean, of course it's difficult. Not saying it's not. And even now, like, if people say something, or they don't like it, it's, well, okay, you don't like it, but I'm at the stage now where I'm not going to get upset by it. I think the worst thing you could do is getting sucked into an argument, because that's really what a lot of people want when they're that aggressive. They want you to argue. They want to see that you're upset. I mean, it's difficult to not defend your work and your art, but when you argue with some people, it's falling on deaf ears. So really, what is the point in arguing and wasting your time? I think if someone or a group of people, or if they're really targeting you and being very aggressive, showing how jealous they are of your art, you either ignore it or just delete their comments and block them. I mean, that's the only thing you can do. Yeah, don't allow people's comments force you to change your style to suit their standard. This all ties in with what I was saying before. Like I said, people have their own tastes, so they're perfectly entitled to it, but why should that mean that you have to change your style to suit them? Because then you won't be happy with your style and your art. So you have to ask yourself why you're doing art in the first place. Are you doing it for the love of it? Or are you doing it for popularity? Are you looking to please people? If it's something you love, then you have to allow yourself to progress naturally, which is what I was saying about your style gradually, subtly changing. But if you're just doing it for the sake of being popular, or you want some sort of popularity, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I guess this discussion really isn't for you, but it's all about your mindset, really. It's all about considering and understanding what it is you want from your own art and not what other people want from it. I mean, it's okay to feel discouraged sometimes. It happens to everyone. Feeling some sort of discouragement shows that you care about your art, but you can't let it eat you up until you quit, because that's what will happen. If you become so discouraged by just words that people say, you will quit because you won't be able to handle it. So the best thing is just to use it to become more determined and just keep practicing and getting better. Talking about maybe things a bit more constructive, a lot of the times people will give you constructive criticism even when you don't ask for it. I'm kind of on the fence about this. Even if you don't ask for constructive criticism, I think maybe it's best to just accept it graciously. I mean, it can be a hard thing to swallow when people correctly point out your flaws, but what's the point in refusing to see your mistakes? Just take a note of it and move on, and then maybe practice the thing that was pointed out. But then again, don't take it too much to heart when someone looks like they are giving you constructive criticism, and it may not be that it's their good intent. Some people will mask their criticism behind something that they think is trying to help you, but they don't actually mean it. It's a very difficult thing to try and figure out if people are being genuine or not. So it really is up to you to decide whether or not you want to take it on board, or if you want to obsess over it completely and take it the wrong way. So yeah, it's something you just have to be mindful of. Some people do genuinely want to help you. They do want you to get better, and it is difficult to see when we make mistakes sometimes, because I mean we're the ones that are drawing and we're looking at this artwork for hours, and you really don't notice the mistakes sometimes. So then when you post it and someone else can spot it straight away, and you think, wow, how did I not see that? They must be wrong. I've been looking at this for hours. But sometimes the case is that, they're right, you just can't see it. If people are trying to be genuine about it, then just accept it, because you do want to get better. So personally myself, I don't critique other people's artwork. And I think the main reason is a lot of people don't even ask for it. So if you don't ask for it, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to point out what's great, what's not great, because if you haven't asked, then I'm not going to say, because you don't want to hear it, so that's fine, and there's no point, because it's going to fall on deaf ears. But if you're going to critique someone and who asks for critique, then you have to do it in a positive way, otherwise you're going to discourage people. So I mean, I don't mean sugarcoating it, because you don't want someone to feel like if you point out every single negative thing that you see and just leave it at the negatives, it's quite a harsh thing to take on. Some people use the critique sandwich or criticism sandwich. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but it's something like that anyway, where they point out a positive, then they point out a negative, and then they finish up with a positive. And I think depending on the situation, it can be useful, but again, I think also, I'm on the fence. It might not be as useful because it depends on your intentions. So if you start with the positive, it's kind of like maybe that person isn't expecting you to say something, then negative, and then when you finish up with a positive, then maybe they're not going to remember the negative thing you said. They're just going to remember the positive, so they don't take away anything from it. But then again, if you don't have anything positive to say about someone's work, you're going to completely discourage them as well. So I think it really depends on the situation, it depends on the artist. I think you just have to use really good judgment when you are critiquing someone's work. Yeah, you just have to be pretty careful, I think. Okay, I realise this video is getting pretty long now. I mean, I could talk a lot longer about this subject, because it's quite a big thing to talk about, and there's so many different opinions out there on art in general, and what people can and can't say and things like that. But I think the main point I want to put across is you have to really be okay and comfortable enough in yourself to put your art online, because you need to expect people to unfortunately say things that you may not like to hear, and that's just the world we live in now. We live in a world of social media where it's really easy for people to just, say negative things, or, but the other side to that is there's a lot of really great people there who want to say positive things, and they want to support you and your art, and you kind of have to weigh these things up. It's like, are you enjoying what you're doing? If so, then that's great. And are other people enjoying it too? And if you can say yes, then I think it far outweighs the negative aspects of sharing your art. So yeah, these are just my opinions. These are it's the way I think about it, and it's kind of how I try to think about all aspects of my life, not just about my drawing, but about anything that can be negative. I just try and think of a different way to look at it and not take it too much to heart. So, I hope this is kind of like a pep talk for some people. It can be a difficult thing to think about and to talk about. So, yeah, I really hope that it can help someone, I guess, who might be feeling a little bit down about maybe their art today. Maybe they needed to hear someone say, it's okay. You don't have to listen to these people if you don't want to. You can listen to them if you do. But, it's completely up to you, isn't it? So yeah, I hope you like this video. I hope you like the drawing. Feel free to tell me which one you prefer in the comments. No, don't. It's okay. I've got enough comments on my Instagram. But yeah, I hope this was useful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.